Good morning, welcome back. This is part 3 of the Roe Deer tutorial. Hopefully we should make some good progress today. So we're just going to start on the sort of top of the head and we'll work our way down and round. Hopefully, if all goes to plan, we should get most of the head done today. So without further ado, just having a look at the colours. I think I'm going to pick out my Ivory and warm grey one. Here we go. So I'm just going to have warm grey 2 to hand as well. So in the... I'm going to adjust the brightness actually on my laptop because I feel like the reference photo seems quite dark. Oh, that's better. Right. Okie dokie. Okay, yeah, so in this centre part I'm going to use warm grey 1 in the middle of it and then blend out to Ivory on the outer edges, just in this central shape. So I'm just going to gently remove some of the line up. Sharpen these a little bit. Yes, I'm going to go along the top with the warm grey 1 as well. I'm just going to do the usual, where I just go in with a lighter pressure initially. So I feel like it kind of goes up and out to the sides. I hope you're all enjoying this one. Going over with the heavier pressure now. Okay, and then I'll take the Ivory. Oh, sorry, I think I just knocked the camera stand. Go over the area again with a firmer pressure and then blending into the warm grey as well, just so there's no harsh lines. Okay, now I think to this left hand side there's kind of a hint of cinnamon, I think. I'm just going to sharpen that a little bit actually. So just kind of going up here. Just with circular motions. But still in the direction the fur will be going, even though it's not a fine detail. So I think then I'm going to pick dark Naples Ochre. And I'm just going to, with the flat side, kind of blend away from the cinnamon. And then we'll put the detail, the fur detail, over the top. Again, sort of circular motions and then a quick brush over. So then I'm going to grab warm grey 3. Not too sharp, but not as blunt as we would have it for a base layer. And I'm just going to kind of, with the sharper side, this is why we don't want it too sharp, because we don't want to kind of have too heavy a detail. It's just kind of do, I'll show you on this paper I'm resting my hand on, sort of almost like crisscrosses, like V shapes. It just makes the fur look a bit more natural. Rather than just like that, because it's quite a rough fur, quite a coarse fur, should I say. So yeah, this just helps with that kind of texture. So just going to do this to the centre, and then in the centre, sort of obviously it's kind of going straight up, but then we're going to kind of work off to the side. And along the top, I'm just going to go in a little bit heavier. Oh, sorry guys. And then I think I'm going to grab the Nougat. Just going to go in a bit more with this first. So yeah, the Nougat, if I can find it, here we go. And I'm just going to, so looking at the reference photo, there's almost kind of darker clumps first, so I'm going to mark those in, again kind of doing the crisscross shape. I'm actually going to get the warm grey 4. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to have to find it, just bear with me. Okay, so with the warm grey 4, I'm just going to sharpen it fairly sharp. Just go over the sort of darker clumps that I've made with the crisscross again. Just keep looking back at the reference photo and oh, threw my pencils on the floor. So I've just got the Walnut Brown. I'm going to sharpen that up quite a bit. And just in this corner down here, there's a hint of it, I'd say. So again, just crisscrossing, trying to keep it looking as natural as possible. And then I'm just going to get the dark sepia. sharpen that up quite a bit because we need to get some detail in. Actually, before I go along the top, I'm just going to grab the Walnut Brown again and just put some down at the top here. And then get the dark sepia and start to go in with a bit of detail. When you're using the sharper edge, if you suddenly feel like it's kind of gone a bit blunt, just kind of turn your pencil, just turn it slightly to get the sharper edge again. Ooh. Always press too hard. So just carrying on with the detail. I think I'm actually going to get the black as well. Sharpen it up. Obviously I'm not going to go in too heavy, but I just feel like there's a couple of the clumps of fur that need just a bit more definition. And then we'll grab the Walnut Brown again. Just go in between a little bit. And then I'm going to grab the Cold Grey 3. And sharpen it. Actually, no, I'm not going to sharpen it up. And I just feel like at the centre there's just a bit more of like a colder flash, really. So just blending away from that darker area that we've just worked on. Just all in the middle, really. And then on this right hand side it is much, much darker. So I'm going to grab the Warm Grey 3 again and sort of put down the direction of the fur. And along the top as well. And I'm going to grab the Nougat. Just put a bit down over here. I feel like most of this side and going up, I feel like most of it has a bit of Nougat underneath. And then I'm going to get the warm grey 4 and just start to, with the sharper edge, just start to put a bit of detail in this centre. And then going off to the right. Quite a, I'm going a bit heavier and sort of thicker along this top bit with the warm grey 4. And then I'm going to grab the, actually I'm just going to put some shapes, some of the sort of crisscross shapes in. And then I'm going to grab the Walnut Brown again. Just blend it in slightly. Sorry, I'll just put my watch on silent, sorry. Then I'm going to get the dark sepia and the sharper edge, just put in some hair strokes. Just kind of concentrating on where there's some darker spots, and just sort of going in a bit heavier on those. It is quite a difficult fur, I find, because it's quite a coarse fur. It's actually quite difficult to achieve it, but it's just one of those things that just takes a bit of time. You know, it just feels like it's going through the ugly stage a little bit longer. And then I think, make sure I've got all these little bits in. I'm just going to grab the black again, just to make it super dark on this side. You can never have too many layers, especially on this paper. It takes it so well. So yeah, just keep going, persevere with it. I mean, obviously you can use any paper that you like, but I just find, I mean, I've always used this. Well, in the very beginning I did try Bristol board because I really liked the super smooth, like shiny smooth. But then I sort of came across this and just found, you know, I mean, it's over twice the thickness of the Bristol board I was using. And although it is very smooth, it has got a very slight texture to it, which it took me a while to get used to it. But actually, I don't think I could work on the Bristol board again. I don't think I could work on such a smooth surface. Yeah, it feels really weird. And I just don't feel like you get the realism as much, you know. Now what I'm going to do is get my slice tool. These are amazing. I can't remember if I used it in the first couple of parts of this video. You can get them from Amazon. A lot of art suppliers do them. I don't know if that's in focus, but yeah, slice tool. This one doesn't stay out. I think the one with the orange or the red thingy clips and stays out. This one I have to hold out. It kind of is retractable. Now when you use this, you can only really use it on areas that you've got loads of layers on, otherwise there's just nothing to scratch away. But this is great for the little fur details. Just scratches them away and just kind of gives that real fur texture, you know. I'm not going to use it all over. I did tape this blade out, but it didn't last very long. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of do it in certain areas. And then I'll do it a little bit on this right hand side as well. Up the middle. have a play with it. If you've not got one, just have a play with it on a bit of scrap paper. As I say, you need to make sure you've got plenty of layers down first. Otherwise there's nothing really to scratch away, but it's very, very handy. And those, if ever you're doing fur textures that are really wiry, I suppose a bit like this, but I've done quite a few dogs that have been, you know, very, very wiry fur, or it's great for whiskers or eyelashes or anything like that. Really, really handy. So I think I'm just going to grab the Nougat again, actually. And just between some of these bits that I've just scratched away, I'm just going to, with the sharp edge, this pencil, just add a bit of Nougat back in. And then we'll work off to this left hand side. So there's a lot of ivory in the base, so sorry that I keep knocking the stand. So this, make sure I don't make it too dark. This line here, I've taken out a little bit further. But if I work kind of on the inside of it, because it's quite a bright, where the light's sort of catching the fur, it's made it really, really bright. I'm not going to take this out completely, but so that it's very, very faded. These soft brushes are just brilliant. I just got this, I'm not sure if I already said, just got this from Hobbycraft. It's just a paint from their paint brushes. It's a bit like a blusher, like a makeup blusher brush, but just saves sort of having to put your fingers on the paper to get rid of any sort of dust or anything. As obviously you don't want, no matter how clean your hands are, you don't want any oils, grease, dirt or anything like that going onto the page. So I'm just going to get the warm grey one, and those areas that I've just rubbed out, I'm just going to gently sort of pop back in with the warm grey one, just so I don't lose where I am. So I don't lose those bits. That's it. Nearly touched the page then after what I've just said. So get the ivory. Just going to move my light actually just to the left, because I don't want to make it too dark with my hand. Hopefully that's a bit better, not too much of a shadow then. So it's right up to the eye, so I'm just going to get the sharper edge to go up to the eye with and sort of round it. We can always sharpen it in a minute and go a bit closer if need be. Obviously be careful, because if you do go into the black, it probably will smudge out into the ivory, so just be aware of that, just be careful. A bit like that. we can fix it. Going in a bit heavier now, really smoothing the tooth of the paper out. I'm actually not going to go in too heavy with this warm grey one because I think I'm actually going to go back over the top with the ivory. So it will be different, but it won't be as dark as if I went in really heavy. And then the ivory again. Smoothing that tooth out. And then I think I'm going to grab the burnt ochre. Actually, no, I'm not. Sorry. The Caran Luminance. This is the brown ochre 10%. If you've not got this, just try and find the closest sort of. I'm just trying to think what would be the nearest colour, really. Kind of, you know, just like a fleshy colour, really. And I'm going to mark in on these areas where I put the warm grey. And then I'm going to get the burnt ochre and I'm going to go all the way up to this bit. I'm going to get the dark sea colour. I'm just going to sharpen it a bit. And then across here. comes out a bit more like that. And I'm going to grab the Walnut Brown. And sort of add some of the darker shapes in that I can see. Then I'm just going to grab the brown ochre and just come in a little bit here and a little bit, not all the way down, but just a little bit of this line. And around here. And then back to the burnt ochre. Just a little bit down here. And can you see it's starting to come together a little bit now? I'm going to grab the cream, which is actually like a lemon yellow. I'm not going to sharpen it too much. I'm just going to add in some slightly brighter areas that I can see. Then we'll go over with a brighter yellow in a minute. This is just kind of a base for it. Okay, so I'm going to see if I've got the light yellow glaze number 104. I'm going to see if that works. I think that's going to be bright enough. Yeah, let's give that a go. I'll sharpen it up a little bit. I don't feel like there's really any detail with this. I just feel like there's a few areas that sort of almost glow a bit, really. We're going to add this too. Then I'm going to get the cinnamon. A bit in. And then I'm just going to get the dark sepia again. Just going to get the Walnut Brown. Okay, sorry about that, the battery just died, just had to change it. So it might be in a slightly different position. So I think I'm just going to get the burnt sienna. I'm just going to sharpen it up a bit. I feel like there's a hint of burnt sienna in this little shape here. I love this colour. I'm just going to get the Naples Yellow. And just pop it down here. And I think I'm just going to get the cinnamon again and just very, very lightly kind of dust down here. And then just get the burnt sienna again. feel like there's a bit more kind of definition to this shape actually, the more I look at it. I'm just going to get the burnt ochre again. And just whisper across here. And then I'm just going to grab the dark sepia. I actually feel like there's a bit of burnt sienna in. Oh, a lot of burnt sienna in here. And then I think there's a bit of green gold just going up here to that ear. I'm just going to get the cinnamon again, just lightly kind of go in there, and then I'm just going to get the ivory and I'm just going to soften this area of cinnamon that I put in. I just feel like it needs, yeah, just softening off a little bit. It's going up into that yellow. I do feel like that light yellow glaze was the right colour choice, but I just feel like it needs softening slightly, so we're just going to sort of burnish it with the ivory, and then the darker mark above the eye here, we'll pop that in a sec. Just looking around that dark mark, I'm going to use the cinnamon, just really blunt, really flat edge. Sort of just above the eyelid, bit of a dusting of it. Okay, and then we're going to grab the Nougat to just pop down that darker line above the eye, and then it kind of goes down into that just softly, so burnt sienna. It's going in a bit darker. And finally the dark sepia on top of it again. Sharpen it up. And then we're going to grab warm grey 3 if I can find it. Can never find it when I want to. Oh, here we go. And just above the eyelid, just going to gently brush along this warm grey 3. And then I'm going to get the Bistre, if I can find it. There we go. I'm just going to sharpen it up a little bit, not too sharp, but okay. Over that eyelid and just up slightly to the line. Excuse me. A bit down here as well. This is another great colour, I love it. It's very, very useful when you're working with kind of natural tones. Going to go around that dark mark just very, very lightly with the Bistre. I'm just going to add some first strokes in with it here. Then I'm going to grab warm grey 4. Got it. Just to add some of the details in here. And then the Nougat again, with the sharper edge. Okay, and then we'll move over to this right hand side and then we'll work our way down the middle. So, very different tones on that side. Obviously it's kind of, the sun's on the left of the deer in the photo, so obviously it's much darker and greyer on this right hand side. So I think we'll pick out the warm greys. Yeah, I'm going to keep the ivory to hand as well, but I think I'm going to grab warm grey 2. Warm grey 1, 2 and 3 actually. And ivory. And I think I'm just going to take the line out for this shape here. I'm going to leave the dark line above that eye. I'm going to leave the pencil marking for that there for now. I might change my mind in a minute. Now, where I've just taken that out, I'm going to pop in ivory as the base layer. Okay, so sorry, I've just moved the camera slightly. So we've popped the ivory down there, so I've now just got the warm grey 1. And just going to go in for the rest of the area. And between the ivory and the dark line that's going to be. Just going to remove that line. I'm just going to pop a bit of ivory over the top of the warm grey, just along here. And then get the warm grey again. Okay, so get my warm grey 2 and 3, and I'm just going to sharpen them a bit. Okay, so I'm going to start with the warm grey 2, and I'm just going to try and put some of the markings in. So this darker bit here actually does, looking at it now, just missed that bit, but it follows round into a bit of a sort of pointed bit here. So I shall sort that in a minute. But then coming down from it, there's sort of a strip of a darker area in the middle. And then this darker mark here actually comes out a little bit more. So again, I shall add that in a moment. I'm just going to go a bit darker around the edge here to the ear. And just between these two shapes as well. Okay, so I think I might then grab Nougat again. I think it's one of my favourite colours. And go down a bit on this middle shape. And then I'm going to get the warm grey 3. And just sort of come away from that darker bit in the middle with some markings. So just constantly looking back at my reference photo again as I'm working my way round. I'm just going to grab warm grey 4. yeah, I'm going to bring this dark a bit out here, so I'm just going to get the oh gosh, dark sepia and just make that shape come out a bit wider and rounder. And then the Nougat again, and we'll just bring this bit out. And the dark sepia on top. Okay, you grab the Bistre and just bring a bit of it out here. So it's the small details that really make the big difference overall. So that's why I think as you start to move on and work your way around, you sort of notice things that you didn't notice before, but that's good, you know, the details get in there. Still with the Bistre. Just coming into this ivory shape a little bit. And then the warm grey 3. Just adding a bit of detail towards that darker shape that we're going to pop in a sec. Okay, so yeah, I think I'll add the darker shape in and then work away from it. So the Walnut Brown, I think I'm going to go straight in with that. And then the dark sepia. I'm just going to put the dark sepia through the top thicker part. And get the warm grey too. Around above the eyelid. I'm just going to get the Nougat again. Always looking at what direction the fur goes in does make a big difference if you start to sort of go against that. So yeah, always try and keep that at the front of your mind when you're adding the fur in. I'm just going to get the dark sepia in, although I'm not going to go in very heavy with it. I'm just going to kind of use it to shadow just gently along here, down this shape. Just get the Bistre, sorry, not the Bistre, Nougat again. Get the warm grey 3 and just sort of almost add shadow down this side. A little bit here. And I'm going to get the warm grey 4 back and just go over this darker marking in the middle again. I'm just going to get the Bistre and just add a little bit more across here. See, I think you're much better off using lighter pressure and sort of doing more layers. I think you get a much better effect from doing it. I'm quite heavy-handed and kind of my instinct would just be to go in really heavy straight off, but I think I've definitely learned over the years patience. Definitely pays off with this. You can't rush colour pencil, it just doesn't work. Not when you're trying to create realistic effects anyway. Okay, so I'm looking for Tombow Mono Eraser. I'm just going to check it on a piece of scrap paper first. So I'm just going to take out a bit of a brighter area here. Okay. Just going to get my Bistre and soften some of this off a little bit more on this ear. Okay, I think just got the warm grey. Actually, I'm going to get the warm grey 3 and 4, and I just feel like it's actually a bit darker down here, so I'll go in with the warm grey 3 first. And just going to get the black again. I'm just going to sharpen it up actually. And then on these two eyes, I'm just going to go back over some of the black. You know, if I've just caught some of it with the lighter colours, it just dulls it off a bit. So I just want to get that definition back. Just going to get the dark sepia. Just go over this eye again, because I just feel like some of it's almost faded off a bit actually. It's weird. It's fine. Okay. Right, so now I'm sure I'll come back to some bits up here at some point. But we're now going to work our way down the face, down to here, under the eye. Like I said, when I did this top bit, obviously it's darker on this side. So this line that I've put here, this side of it, I'm going to use cold greys initially, I think, as the base colours, as the base layers. So we'll start off with cold grey 1 and then see where we're at. I'm definitely going to be using the slice tool for this area, as you can see from the reference photo. So yeah, so let's get going with cold grey 1, if I can find it. Oh, look at that, straight to it. Right, so I'm just going to gently remove this line that I've put here, because it isn't kind of separating the area, it's just showing me the darker line that was there, that is there. I'm just going to remove that outer bit here as well. Okay, so and then just go around the eye first. I might go over the outline of the eye with the black again once I've done this area. I often end up doing that like several times, but so just doing my usual kind of, you know, going in light initially and then going over it again heavier, smoothing the tooth out. So I'm just really making sure I'm going quite heavy, because like I said about the slice tool, so I'm definitely going to be using it here. You know, you really need the layers down to be able to use it, to be able to make those sort of marks and scratch it away. So yeah, I'm just making sure I really get a good base layer down. Okay. And then I think I'm going to take cold grey, just make sure I get this right. Cold grey 3, 4 and 5. And then although I've put cold grey 1 down as the whole base, on this side under the eye I'm actually going to use warm greys over the top of the cold greys. So I'll get cold grey, warm grey 2 and 3 out as well. So I've got warm grey 2 and 3 and cold grey 3, 4 and 5. Yeah, so I'm going to start in the middle with the cold greys first. So I'm going to get my cold grey 3. And just use the sharper side to add these little sort of clumps again of colour. It's probably not the right word, but it's the only one I can think of. And just keep turning your pencil to make sure you've always got the sharper side at the bottom. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of do a bit at a time. So I'm just going to sharpen cold grey 4, fairly sharp. And I'm just trying to kind of do sort of really small sort of strokes of fur. They're almost like dots really. So I'm just trying to follow that along. I hope you can see this okay. Just thinking about the direction of the fur again. Don't forget to keep thinking about that. I'm just going to sharpen the cold grey 5. I'm actually going to get the dark sepia as well, because it's kind of that browny black, like softer tone, but darker. I feel like there's quite a lot of that around here, and I'm also going to grab the Nougat because just in the top here there's a hint of Nougat behind it. And then, sorry, I've just got the dark sepia now. Sorry, just not the camera again. I will stop doing it one day, I promise. And they're just slightly softer, so it's not too severe down here. So just keep looking back at my reference photo still, just to make sure things are roughly where they should be. So it's a little bit darker from here and then coming across sort of here. So these are just really super small hair strokes, like almost a dot that you've just slightly sort of, you know, flicked up. Yeah, super short, and then we'll come in with the slice tool a bit as well towards the end. I feel like this colour's great for some of the tones that are in this drawing or in this picture. I feel like there's actually a bit of a blue tone under here. I might grab the Payne's Grey, which if you've not used that before, it's like a bluey grey. I feel like there's a bit of a vibe of that behind here. I'll just grab that in a sec. Okay, so I'll just look for the Payne's Grey if I can find it. Ah, got it. Just sharpen it up a little bit. So yeah, just under here, I feel like there's a bit of it. Okay, and I'm just going to get the Cold Grey 5 again. Just go over the top of some of the details a little bit again. And then coming off to this side, I'm going to go kind of Cold Grey 3 into Warm Greys. I'm going to grab the Warm Grey 2 and 3. Sharpen it up a bit. Okay, so I'll get the 2 first, warm grey 2. Just come away under the eye. And then warm grey 3. Back at the photo again. And then I think warm grey 4. Sorry, cold grey 4. Few hair marks across here. And then I'm just going to grab warm grey 5. No, oh gosh, sorry, cold grey 5. Right, now I'm going to get the slice tool and just add a few of these marks in. So I'm just going to really slightly tiny little scratches. Don't go too heavy because obviously you will scratch the paper. You just imagine you just gently lifting some of the pencil, some of the colour, rather than going in too heavy and removing paper. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the black, just to add a couple of these darker areas in. And then I'm not going in too heavy with the pressure. Just keep turning the pencil to get the sharper edge. Just going to grab the Walnut Brown while I can think of it, while I see it. The sharper edge. Just going to get the dark sepia, just make this a bit thicker. the warm grey 4. Five rather, sorry. I'm just going to get the black again and just go back over the outline. So I think I'm just going to grab a warm grey 4 again. And a slice tool. Just take away some of this. Okay, so I think we will move across to here. Just deciding what base colours to go with. I think I'm going to go with Ivory. Sort of round here, I'm going to do warm grey 1. I'm going to blend them in together. Yeah, and then you can't see much definition between the head and the neck here because of the lighting, but that's fine, you know, we'll work with what we've got. So I've got my Ivory, I've got my warm grey 1, and I've got my eraser and my brush. So I think I'll just gently remove that line. And then I'll start off along the line. And then I've got my warm grey 1. I'll just gently work away from that centre. I'm going to go right down to the nose with it. Around here. I'm not going to worry about removing the line art around the nose because obviously it's going to be pretty dark, so we don't really need to worry about removing that, and obviously we don't want to lose the lines. So that's the warm grey down, so I'm just going to go over the ivory again, blend them across together. Right, now I'm going to pick out Bistre, the brown ochre 10% from the Luminance, obviously the Nougat, because that seems to be my favourite colour, and oh, excuse me. Okay, got it. So I'm just going to get the brown ochre 10% and just sort of, it's fairly sharp, but these obviously are quite soft creamy pencils, but just along the line of the ivory. Sort of up a little bit. I'm also going to pop a little bit under the eye here. Just looking at anywhere that I feel like in this area I can see has got a bit of this underneath. And actually across here, I feel like there's a little dusting of it. And then the Bistre. Some people work on like just one section, and I've tried that, but I just can't work like that. So I tend to kind of have one little area that I'm working on and just kind of move around that section. I think it's because I'm impatient. I feel like, I don't know, I just can't focus on that one area for too long. Now I'm going to grab the Nougat. And sharpen it up a little bit actually. Just starting to add a bit of the detail in here. And then I'm just going to grab the warm grey 3. Oh, and of course I can't find it. Of course I can't. Okay, I've got it. So warm grey 3. Make sure your page that you've got your hand resting on doesn't move across, or you keep moving it with you, so you don't rub any of the colour off. Coming down here, I'm just going to start adding this really small hair marks, hair streaks. And keep going in down here a little bit, I think. Just going to get the warm grey too. way through again. So it is much softer on this side than it is on the right. I think it's just the sunlight really more than anything. Okay, I think I'm going to find the warm grey 4. And I'll add a few more markings in. You're always looking for like areas that are a little bit darker because that will help sort of with the realism of it, because obviously the lighting, otherwise it's going to look flat basically. You know, it helps just lift it off the page, these little highlights and darker areas and stuff. So And I'm just going to grab the Nougat again and just add a couple of little details in around here again. Then I'm going to grab the Museum Aquarelle White from the Caran, and I'm just going to lightly add a few lighter areas in. This is going to add quite a bit of depth as well. And I'm just checking back between the reference photo and the drawing. I'm going to take the warm grey, cold grey 5. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave that there for part 3. In part 4 we will concentrate on the nose and mouth and see how far we get with that. If we get that done fairly quickly, then we'll start to work down the neck, and then we'll carry on further down in the next couple of parts. But I really hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've got any questions at all, please feel free to get in touch or comment below. Really hope you're enjoying this one. Finding the fur fairly challenging, but I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully we'll have a lovely final picture. So I'll just zoom out a little bit for you to see. So yeah, I'm really super pleased with that. I think that's lovely. Like I say, at the end there'll be little things that I might go around and just add to again, or you know, get in there with the slice tool or add some highlights, things like that. But yeah, we'll do that sort of as we go or towards the end. And yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks very much.